Get ready to meet the queen of curated escapes and turnkey transformation. Today on Power Your Profit podcast, we're talking to Gini Trask, a true force of nature and travel in the speaking world, from coordinating Super Bowl transportation for 1,500 people right out of college into jet-setting sports fans on private planes and global events. Gini mastered the art of crafting experiences that leave people speechless. But when COVID grounded group travel, did she sit idle? No, ma'am. Jeannie pivoted with flair, launching a speaking career that's all about turning her years of logistics genius into a profitable one-to-many marketing strategies for owners. And when she's not jet setting or coaching, she's busy transforming her lush 32-acre property in Thicket, Texas into a soul-soothing retreat for meditation and connection. From the boardroom to the backwoods, Gini Trask is redefining success on her own terms. So buckle up as we dive into her story of resilience, reinvention, and living a life unapologetically. Let's roll.
Welcome to Power Your Profits podcast, your friendly guide in bringing your business revenue to the next level. Listen as host Dr. Susie Carder hears inspiring stories of success from her fellow entrepreneurs and transformational leaders. Prepare to make significant change to your strategies as they unravel the secrets of building multi-million-dollar businesses and the most effective tips on finance, marketing, and sales accountability. If you want to take your first steps towards explosive business growth, this podcast is for you. Without further ado, here is your host, Dr. Susie.
Jenny, you started your career coordinating logistics for Super Bowl, no pressure, right? What did that experience teach you about now thriving under insane amounts of pressure, and how do you set the stage for your entrepreneurial journey?
So, it's, you're right. It was more than a little bit of pressure, right? My very first, no, I guess not my first business. My first business I started when I was 16. I cleaned houses. There was not a ton of pressure there, but that second business doing, Super Bowl transportation and then what grew into doing sports travel. Yeah, ton of pressure. Everything is, lots of dollars on the line, right? The more zeros that are behind the product you sell, the more zeros that are also behind the losses when you do take them.
Yes.
Um, and right, exactly. So everybody wants a multi-million-dollar business, right? I've had five of them, but what comes with that is, right, again, more zeros, more risk in those zeros too. So yeah, what it really did teach me was, first of all, the mantra that everything really does always work out for me. And I hope that everyone else can share in that too, right? Everything is working for us. Everything is working out for us. And the more that you just are yourself and you share your heart with people, even when you're having a tough time, some of the best experiences with clients, in my travel business, I had a 100% client retention rate. And in that business, what I learned was that, if something was difficult or I was having a hard time solving what I thought was a problem, that talking to the customer about it, which was taught to me as a big no-no, was actually a huge yes. How many times have you, booked a call with somebody and the schedule is just really not working out for you? And you only to find out when you reach out and you're like, oh my gosh, is there anything we can do? Guess what? It also wasn't working out for them.
Right.
And so what I learned in sports travel, in that high pressure situation, is that anytime that something just wasn't quite working out, what I would do is I would actually reach out to the customer and find out, how are things going for them, right? Maybe there's a shared energy here, a shared something. And what would come out of that was often just some of the best experiences. One time I was working with a client I was working with a hotel, and they were overbooked. I mean, hugely overbooked. And I mean, we had 40 rooms. There was a large trip. There was like 400 rooms on the trip, and 10%, 40 of the rooms, they didn't have them. And I
Right.
think, you know what? Rather than walk us to a different hotel, why don't we just see? Why don't we just see what we can do? And I reached out to the end user client, and we came up with this great kind of win-win email. We sent it out to the customers, and turns out we had some folks that really honestly needed to cancel. Yeah, we had some other folks that were like, we offered like a kind of a setup where, we had a lot of people that were traveling solo on the trip and had been trying to get a roommate and couldn't. And so then we kind of created like a little exchange where they could talk to other people and they found roommates. And you know what? We sure did come up with those 40 rooms. So opening a dialogue when you're under pressure, actually opening a dialogue about what is possible, I think is one of the biggest things that I learned from that time.
Well, I love you've had five businesses that, and I love that you're just vulnerable to say some worked, some didn't. What would you say now, like looking back, one, what's an absolute must I have to do? And then two, what would you do completely different? Knowing what you know now.
Yeah, knowing what I know now. Um, an absolute must for me now is to really check in about, am I trying to do this just for the money? So my thing is, don't, and this is what my partner Joe says all the time, don't do it for the money, but boy, I hope you make a lot of money doing it. But
Right.
but that's a very different feeling. And it's going to tie into the what I would never do again, which is in my last really big multi-million dollar company, the biggest one that I had, we were doing about $5 million a year in business, and then we were managing another few million for another company where we weren't running the revenue through, but we were helping them to manage it. And when I started that business, I just was so desperate to sell something, anything, that I was twisting myself into a pretzel
Mm,
to and so I had worked in the sports travel industry, and when I opened my own sports travel business, um full scale on my own, I was just like, it was like, oh, I'm not just going to focus on sports travel. I'll just do any travel at all. Well, so the problem is that what I really knew well was sports.
right.
And when I had to go and I had to research your Hawaii trip, which I had only ever done the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. I don't really know that much about Hawaii. And now I've got to go and I've got to research and I've got to spend all this time and doing that and figuring that out and trying to learn a whole destination just so I can give you a quote on a trip and
Right.
hope it just what it did is it stretched me so thin because I was just trying to do anything at all to make a buck, as opposed to standing in, this is what I know, and I know it like the back of my hand. See, for me to sell a Super Bowl trip was just effortless. I knew everything you could possibly want to know about that event. And so it was just super effortless to sell it. But there was so much effort that went in that Hawaii trip, and the Super Bowl trip had a couple $1,000s worth of profit. The Hawaii trip had maybe 500, you know.
Right.
And so really, and that's why now I'm so passionate about helping speakers. Stand in your expertise, guys. Stand in the thing that you know well, and know that there's someone out there that needs that, and your efforts better spent finding that right audience, finding those people, reaching the people that need you, than trying to bend yourself into a pretzel to fit a need just because you have maybe this little tiny warm market that maybe wants it.
Right. Or you're just figuring out where, we've all done that, right? I've done it with I did it with a hair replacement company back when I was in the beauty industry, and I'm like, this is so out of integrity for me. It's like so not aligned with my values and my, what they wanted me to do. I'm like, all money is not good money. And I needed that money like to pay my mortgage and to like I
Yes.
needed it, but I'm like I felt like I was selling my soul to the devil, and it was just so hard that I had to back out of the contract and give all it was 40 grand, Ginny. I had to give all my money back, right? Because I couldn't do it. And so
Yeah.
I think that's important that you're helping, us really get clear and hearing that story to go, we all go through it because
Yeah.
we
We all do
have to
it.
survive.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing now to help speakers? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I really realized COVID gave me a huge opportunity, which, by the way, I mean, in terms of travel businesses, I actually did decent during COVID. I mean, I didn't do 5 million a year, but I came in just under a million. I did $998,000 the year of COVID in travel. But it gave me the opportunity to step back and and reflect on whether or not the business was really, again, was it really just that I had a $5 million a year business? And was I just really excited to be able to say that? Or did I really feel that it was aligned with my purpose? And
Right.
I've always known that the thing that I am kind of my zone of genius is helping others to recognize their brilliance and then bring it forward. And so I started, COVID really gave me the opportunity to realize that there was something more out there for me and that I could help people in a bigger way. And
Yeah.
so I got into, I was already a public speaker. I was already getting paid to speak and I was already speaking to sell and making money from stage. But I wanted to help other people to do that because, back to that earlier piece, the world needs your magic. And the way that you do it is magic. And the world needs your zone of genius. But if they can't find you, right? If they can't find you, they're going to go out and they're going to find somebody else who's going to do it for probably twice your price, maybe half your talent, right? And so I realized that business owners really needed more exposure
Yeah.
and they needed to be turning that exposure into a community and leads, and that then that community is, those are your people, right? And so those are the folks you should be selling to. But sometimes we have a hard time finding where to do that. Sometimes we have a hard time believing in ourselves with that imposter syndrome that we all get and all those things. So I really set out after COVID to help folks with that piece, bringing forward their magic, finding places to share that magic, and then making sure that when you do share it, that it's supporting you financially.
Right. Well, let's talk about that from sports fans to private jets to corporate executives, right? You make it look all seamless. So, what's the common thread in managing that kind of business and then now helping high performance clients and building high performance businesses?
So it really is, um, there definitely is a common thread. And the common thread between the magic that I sort of created for clients, because again, 100% client retention rate, was in understanding what it is that people really do want and need. My friend Mary Gooden has a beautiful, we always say, we got to get the needs covered first. Here's the thing. If you don't know what you want, how do you know what you need? Because you have to know what you want. And so I think what I'm great at is really diving into what is that burning desire that's in the soul of the customer. And whether it's that I'm helping you to figure out what's the burning desire of the soul of your customer, or in my case, it was in the travel business, it was my own customers, right? But I have always seemed to have this natural ability for that. And part of it comes from like childhood wounding, right? I had a rough childhood, and people pleasing was a big part of my childhood and my adulthood. And so I had this almost, core level vibrational ability to realize what somebody wanted and to sort of almost magically make it happen. And what that translates to in terms of helping speakers and business owners is that, I want to help those folks to know that on a deep level. Sometimes we want to overthink what our clients want and what our clients need.
Right.
We get very cerebral about it, and the quicker that we can get to that very core level, almost, it's almost a primal level that people want and need these things on. And when we can distill that down and speak to that piece, when we can speak to what is all the marketing fluff, let's pull away all the marketing fluff and let's find the words. Because when you work with speakers, right, there's words. Our words matter. And what are the words that resonate with you as the business owner and the speaker? And what are the words that resonate with that end customer? And when that aligns, that's where we attract our best customers, where we
Yeah.
create the business that's in the most flow and joy for us.
I love that you said, because I built a whole multi-million dollar business on what they needed versus what they wanted. And that was the hardest business. I'm like, they need this, but they did not want this. Like it was in 1999, we created the first online training and development company for the beauty industry. Well, only
Mm.
50% of those people owned computers.
Right. A lot of beauty industry professionals don't really use computers. You're right. They don't.
Oh my gosh. And we were such early adopters. And, we were doing a couple $1 million a year, but it was so hard because we had to convince them why they needed to get a computer, which, oh my gosh. Then we had to convince them why they needed this service and why they're going to do it after hours. It was like so dumb. Now, hindsight,
Hindsight.
the biggest lesson was just because they need it doesn't mean they want it, right? Doesn't
Yep.
matter how much it is. Then you would do other stuff and they'd pay, like you said, three times, four times as much because they like, oh, I want that. That's fun. My business was not fun. It was needed.
Right. Right.
I should share that so we all don't make. I'm just reiterating that that thing that Jenny is talking about. So let's talk about your retreat center because I love that you turned your living space like this 32 acres. Talk a little bit more about that and then your retreats and what you do. Like that is just delicious. And maybe
Oh,
that's the season I'm in my life, right? A retreat. Where
yeah. So I was lucky, I guess lucky. My parents in the 70s bought this beautiful piece of property in the middle of nowhere in Texas. So we're an hour and a half outside of Houston. And um, they bought this property, and it was really a place of joy for them. They ran a very successful construction company, and they would come on the weekends out to the property and just crash because they were just blowing and going in that business. And it's really become a property that is dedicated to rest and reconnection, because you know that's where we can realign with our magic. I think most of us had an experience when we were children, or in our early adulthood, where we had this like little tickle, like this, almost like the hair standing up on the back of your neck, when you have this realization that, oh my God, I am like magic at this thing. I am really good at this thing. But then adulthood sets in, like we grow up and we're taught that like we can't make money on that thing, or we believe we can't, or we believe that, or sometimes we just are taught that you have to work hard. And so because
yeah,
it seems so easy, we think we can't do it. And so we disconnect from it and we do all these things that people tell us that we should do, and oh, you're really good at this and you're really good at that. And so I first started using the property just for myself. I would go out there and I would go about twice a year and just really unplug and sleep. I would sleep for like the first 2 days, just
yeah,
sleep. And then I would realize, like, I would really start to ask the questions for the next, 6 months of my life. Does this serve me? What, I would seek answers to those questions that I really felt I needed answered, and the answers would come. So that's actually how I decided to give my travel business the boot. Was I did one of those retreats for myself. And then I realized that other people kind of needed this too. They needed a chance to get outside of the noise of everyone else so that they could hear themselves and they could reconnect with that knowing, and make choices from that place. So people often come to me when they're in that place that they know that something needs to shift. They may
hmm
not know exactly what it is, but they know it has to. They know that there's something they're supposed to be doing, some shift they're supposed to be making. They just can't quite figure it out.
right.
And all of the folks that work with me in my higher level programs, they all get one of these retreats as a part of it so that they can come out, and because it's important if you're going to be out speaking in the world, you're going to be out bringing your products to the world, right? I mean, you know what it's like, Dr. Susie, to create an entire business that does millions of dollars, and then you get a couple of years in and you're like, what am I doing? Like, why did I do this, right? So we want to stop that process early and get into the what what does your soul want to do, and what is the wealth that you can create out of that? Because guys, I'm here to tell you, like, you can also have multi-million dollar companies that are based out of your gifts and your zone
Yeah.
of genius and all of that. But sometimes we need to step outside of ourselves a little bit and rest and reconnect, especially female entrepreneurs, especially women.
You're listening to another episode of Power Your Profits podcast. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Are you tired of pouring resources into strategies that don't work? Say hello to Dr. Susie Carder, your future fractional COO. With Dr. Susie in your corner, your business can skyrocket to 7 figures and beyond. With a track record of creating thriving businesses, trust that you are in good hands. Head over to coo.poweryourprofits.com and let us put some magic into your business growth. Overwhelmed by the complexity of business profit strategies? Jump aboard the Bullet Train to Big Profits course, a streamlined solution by Dr. Susie Carder. This course is designed to uncomplicate the path to profitability. Imagine being able to identify and execute profit strategies with ease, skyrocketing your revenues. Visit course.poweryourprofits.com and sign up for the Bullet Train to Big Profits course today.
Well, especially in any transition, right? Because we either, we've took it to this level, whatever that level was, and then going, what's next? So many clients are what's next, but they're still in this dig. You just got to stop the madness and go, listen, right? Listen to the whisper, listen to God, listen to your higher being, your higher self,
Yeah.
right? And we don't carve time to do that.
We don't. And
You
it
talk,
takes more than a day, like, right? Most
yeah,
people come out when they do the retreats with me. It's a minimum of 5 days.
yeah.
If you're not going to do 5 days, we're not going to do it. Like, it's got to be 5 days.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like, here's a boundary. Like, I already know there is no, I think because we get information so quick, and now with AI, it's so quick, so quick. There is no Google download for your emotional intelligence, to your rest, there's just not. I think we've all tried it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I know it takes just a week to turn it off to be, okay, now what do I want to focus on? You
Right.
talk about cellular alignment, right? So how does this differ from traditional understanding of healing, and why is cellular alignment crucial to our lasting transformation?
So with, I work in a healing modality that I've created called cellular alignment. And really it's about creating that deep down change, right? And that's why it works so well on retreat, is because, again, the first couple days, you're literally just getting all of that, like, honestly, in almost like the frequency of like all this, our cell phone and our computer and all that. Because by the way, when you come out and go on retreat with me, there's no cell phones, there's no laptops, there's none of that. You can't have any of that.
You'll freak out and have to detox for at least a day.
Exactly. You got to detox. Yeah. But, when you make that shift, on that cellular level, it's just about actually making a rapid transformation. So we had a client come out that was going through a terrible breakup. I mean, really just, felt like, you've got to be kidding me, right? This is like their like third really significant relationship of their life. It was ending. There was nothing they could do about it. And really just, it's such a blow when that happens. And she came out, and in 5 days, she felt totally complete, totally at peace, had gotten the grief, the anger, had gone through all the stages, and really shifted on that cellular level to realize that this is working for her, right? This is working for her benefit. And when we can lock that in, we can make massive transformation in seconds just by coming into alignment and really making that deep shift in this timeline and in all others, right? We want to release all these beliefs, all these contracts, but it can be done, almost instantaneously. And what I find is we do it outside of the retreats, but it's most effective on retreat. It's most effective when you're there with us in person. Yeah, it just works the best. You're with the trees, you're in a state, right? You're in a state of and really, when I look back, that's what I realized. That's why I realized I was attracted to travel. When people get outside of their normal environment, it is transformational. It is. And that's it took me, I'm 44 now. It took me years to realize that that's what I was that's what I was trying to create. I just was kind of, I was too focused on the vehicle being
Right.
these vacations.
Right.
Yeah. So
Versus-
it's like, let's pull it back and now realize that it's not about the destination. It's about the fact that we're getting into an environment where we can have those shifts and we can have them on a deep level.
Well, and I think you're talking about holistic success, right? Where you've
Mhm.
got now you incorporate these retreats for your, we do it for ourselves and then realize, oh my gosh, what a healing place that we can create for others. Oh, and by the way, I can make money at it. Oh my God, how fun is that?
Yeah.
Right. So I think many of us struggle from our inner selves. What are your daily practices? Do you recommend to stay aligned with our purpose amidst all the external chaos? Because there's so much right now, right? You get bombarded by news, you get bombarded by social media. And if you're watching it, it's easily to go down that rabbit hole. So, what are some of your daily practices?
Yeah, thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
My first one is I do meditate on a daily basis. Now, this doesn't have to, for those of you that are like, I can't meditate. I can't meditate. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't have to be, typically meditate for about 20 minutes, but it doesn't have to be that. You
Right.
can take little micro meditations. You can take micro moments to yourself where, and I really do feel myself. I really do imagine just, I feel the ground beneath my feet. I feel the chair supporting me. I just allow myself to be supported. I think
Mhm.
so often we have felt maybe unsupported in life. So many of us have felt unsupported in life. I just sink into the support and I let my chair be ooh, sorry, I just shook my table when I did that, but I let my chair be that symbol of support and I just
Yeah.
sink into it. Let my feet touch the ground. So even if it's just 5 seconds where you allow your body to sink into the chair and you allow your feet to touch the ground, just that piece can do quite a lot. And then for business owners, one thing that I do recommend is, we talked about earlier creating businesses that where it just, that we were either getting the wrong clients, we were selling the wrong thing, we were doing the wrong thing. I do that little piece of settling in, but then I imagine myself breathing out. So when I exhale, I breathe out just my total authenticity, just totally being myself. And I imagine that breath like circling around the world and coming up and breathing in. And so then when I breathe in on my left, I imagine just those perfect clients coming to me, the perfect, business opportunities, the perfect ideas coming in. Because when we do express out, and you said this, like not all money is good money.
Right.
When we express out in a way that's not in alignment for us, what we get back is not in alignment for us, right? I had to stop selling sports travel because it wasn't good money, right?
Right.
Because it just perpetuated. I had to stop selling in the travel space. And that was hard, right? When you need the money,
Right.
it's hard. I gave up a business that was doing $5 million. To this day, I could pick up the phone and I could reactivate that client list and I could have a $5 million a year business overnight, almost overnight. I could. But is that what I want to do? Do I want to receive money for doing that? I don't.
Right.
So breathing out your authentic expression, your authentic self, your joy, and then breathing back in the joy of the right money, the right clients, the right people. So I do that on a daily basis.
I love that. Right. So let's talk about speakers and really leveraging what they're up to and what they're doing. What I love is you're kind of ping pong all over the place, right? Of in a good way, of helping business owners really leverage the mistakes. So,
Yeah.
what would you say small business owners need to master in that one-to-many marketing through speaking? And what's the biggest mistake people make when trying to sell their story to a room full of potential clients?
Love it. So I'm actually going to go back. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go the second question first, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So the mistake that they make is it goes all the way back to the very beginning of our conversation, trying to modify what you're selling to fit the room. Okay. I see this all the time especially in folks that are in their first I would say few $100,000 to even their first few million, okay, is you have access to some kind of market. You have access to somebody's room, to somebody's audience, to whatever, and you're trying, and so you twist yourself into the pretzel like we talked about earlier, and you change what you offer, okay? So stop changing your offer because every time you change, you need to sell your offer, you need to make your offer at least 100 times or more before you know whether or not that offer is really the offer that you want to make. So if you're constantly changing the offer, you actually aren't getting good data on whether the offer is good or whether or not you like the offer. Because here's what might happen. You might get 5 or 10 clients with your offer and be like, I hate this. I hate this. I don't want to do this at all. And so you need that data, right? So I've run some pretty big businesses doing high dollar. Data is important. If we're constantly changing what we're offering to fit this audience and that audience, we're not standing in that place of this is my magic and this is my offer. Here's the amazing thing though. The more that you stand in that and you make that offer solid, the easier it is to see which rooms are the right rooms for you, which audiences are the right audiences for you. And then, I help people to get on podcasts as guests in order to connect with their audience and in order to attract the right audience. Here's the thing, especially with podcasting, there's such variety especially in a podcast audience, right? There's such variety and you can do it right here from your living room, wherever. And so in that case, because you can speak to easily a few thousand people at once, if you are solid and in alignment, those people are going to find you. But if you're constantly changing your offer, it's on an energetic level, they can feel that there's something not
Chaos.
quite right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's an
So stand
annoying
firm.
chaos. Like something's off.
There's
It
something's
feels
off.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know I've been that way, and I know many speakers that way. You're like,
Yes.
it just feels fake. It doesn't feel authentic. And
Mhm.
and then we've all done it. You and I have both been in the industry long enough where you have to figure that out. Part of it is you do need to figure it out on your own.
You do need to figure it out. And guys, here's the thing. Your offer and your business doesn't actually come from you sitting around and thinking. It
Right.
comes from you doing and figuring out what you don't. I mean, you and I both now, Susie, have a great idea of what we don't want to do.
Yes.
Not to say that we won't still have ideas that we think are great that one day we'll find out, oh, I didn't want to do that either. That's okay. Right? As entrepreneurs, we're great experimenters.
Mhm.
So the first part was what should they do? So number one is look at, let's rise above. We want to. There's 3 buckets here. There's a great book called The Big Leap by
Yes.
Gini
Love that
Trask.
book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And so in the book, he talks about your zone of competence, your zone of excellence, and your zone of genius. And I take it a step further than he takes it when I teach this to people, because your zone of competence, like we kind of want to stay out of that because it's just, why live there? Now, here's the confusing part about our zone of excellence is we go back to that conversation earlier about working hard. Like everyone's got to work hard, right? Well, okay, in a zone of excellence, there's definitely some hard in there.
Yeah.
What can happen in our zone of excellence is we need to be able to figure out what's also in the zone of excellence is things that are coping mechanisms. Okay, so as children, we've all had some trauma, we've all had some challenges, and we develop coping mechanisms. Well, a lot of times, things that are actually coping mechanisms show up as zone of excellence items. So I'm a people pleaser.
Right.
I am the best hostess on the planet for travel, the best. That also means that I got paid to say yes when I should have said no. Very
Yes.
hard to have boundaries when you get paid to say yes, and especially in sports. It's just you say no, they're like, okay, well, how much to make you say yes?
Right.
I want another ticket for my friend. There are no more tickets. Okay, well, so what if I offered 10,000 instead of 5? Can't do it. What if I offered 20? What if I offered 50? And the price just goes up to make you say yes, right? Which is a boundary violation. So if you've had, for a person who's had boundary violation, right? I developed a coping mechanism, right? Which is this people pleasing and these other things. So that's my zone of, so I'm great at it because as
Right.
a child, I got praised. I got praised for people pleasing. I was
Yes.
told what a good girl I was for making it. You just make everybody happy. Everybody just loves being around you and you just make everybody happy, but at my own expense.
Right.
So that shows up in my zone of excellence. And so people tell me all the time, oh, you should be in hospitality. Oh, you should do this because you're so good with people. But I was good with people at my own expense,
Right.
right? So what we want to do is we want to look at, and it's very easy. You can feel into it. Write down all the tasks that you do in your business, all the things you do in your business, all the people that you attract in your business, and just put your hand on your heart, get real still, and think about the scenario where you're in front of that person or you're doing that task, and how does it feel? And that's going to tell you whether it's a coping mechanism or whether it's really a talent. Now, so then what we want to do is we want to go up there to that zone of genius. That's where we want to operate out of. Biggest problem is for most of us, it's effortless. Our zone of
Right.
genius is effortless. It is effortless for me to chat with you and figure out what your magic is like instantaneously and reflect that back to you.
Yeah.
It's effortless.
Right.
But so I don't value it, right? So
Right.
so what we could all benefit from is staying in that zone of genius. What's the top of that pyramid? What's that thing that is easy, that's so easy and effortless for us to do, but that we probably have some head trash around? Well, I can't get paid for that. It's too easy.
Right.
Is it?
Well, and then, right, we undervalue what we do and then we're mad. So that vicious circle continues because you're not charging what you're worth, you're not seeing your value, and you just keep on this wheel of chaos, forever. So I
Yeah.
love it. So how can people play with you?
So let's see. Probably the best way to connect with me is, let's see, did I give you a little free gift
Only
for the audience?
have it'll be in our show notes. I do not have one right now.
Okay, okay. Well, I
Let's
will,
get one.
perfect. We're gonna put one in the show notes, guys.
Yes.
I am going to give you guys your connecting to your magic meditation. Very short, very simple, very easy. And it's just a wonderful way to take yourself back to that moment in your life where you realize that you are, in fact, magic. Because what the world needs, and I can't remember who said this quote, but what the world needs is not for more people to figure out what the world needs. It's for people to be in their light, for people to be lit up, because what the world needs is more light. So when we can get you in that state, and we can then build a product, build a business, build something from that place of your light, that is where the true, like, joyful business, magic business comes. And so I'm going to give you guys that meditation, the connecting to your magic meditation. It's like 5 minutes. It's super short. You can go longer on it if you want. But that's really, to me, what I'm passionate about is, whether you're coming out on a retreat with me or whether you are, having me help you to get on the right podcasts to connect with the right audiences, it all starts with getting into alignment with your magic, and so we can bring that magic into the world, because that's what you're put here to do. You're here to bring that light, and so that's going to be my gift to the audience.
Amen, girl. So thank you for sharing your wisdom, your heart, your healing energy. Your voice is so soothing. Like you're so clear on your alignment and reminding us that our true alignment isn't a destination, that it is a daily devotion. Your
Yes.
work is just a beautiful bridge between the seen and unseen, guiding people back to their truth, their purpose, and more importantly, monetizing that, right?
Yes. Again, don't do it for the money, but by golly, make a lot of money doing it. Right? We deserve that. We deserve to be supported for bringing light into the world. And you guys all deserve that. So I love, Susie, that you're creating this place for people to, wealth is their birthright. You guys all deserve wealth. And I love that you are really bringing this to the forefront and helping people to step into that birthright, that you deserve to be abundantly supported.
Right. If you feel something stir in your soul today, I want you to follow that feeling, whether it's releasing an old pattern, stepping into your true alignment, or finding your divine purpose. Know that healing is available to you. It's not for some of us, it's for all of us. And make sure you connect with Jini at JiniTrask.com and explore the transformational work she offers. And then more importantly, if you know a sister needs this message, I want you to share this episode. Don't keep your growth to yourself, right? It is a community progress process, and always keep showing up for yourself, keep choosing growth, and a reminder your purpose is your profit and your healing is your power. Jini, thank you so much for your gift, the gift to the world, the gift to us, the gift to our community. And I value you and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
From orchestrating Super Bowl logistics to redefining luxury travel, pivoting during the pandemic, and building a retreat oasis in Texas, Jini has shown us how to turn passion into profit and chaos into opportunity. If today's episode didn't inspire you to dream bigger, hustle smarter, and maybe book a fabulous vacay, then you didn't listen. Right? Remember, success isn't just about the destination, it's about designing the journey. If Jini can help you pull off private jets, global sporting events, and retreats in a 32-acre forest, what's stopping you from leveling up your game? Thanks for tuning in to Power Your Profits. Be sure to hit that subscribe and don't miss the next powerhouse guest. We'll help you scale, slay, and shine. Until then, keep chasing those big dreams and maybe book yourself a little first-class inspiration along the way. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Power Your Profits podcast. Let these building blocks from today's most successful industry leaders equip you with the necessary resources and tools to finally establish the highly profitable business of your dreams. Want to hear more? Listen to more episodes at www.poweryourprofitspodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. Now is your time to rise to the top of your game. So be sure to catch our next episode. Until next time.